Page.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 3, Episode 17, your Mavic Air 2 extravaganza tonight. I am joined by Mr. Marcus Crawford.
Ron, hey, 1 second, Bill. My wife needs me. I'll be right back.
Go for it. Go for it. Now I'll continue pontificating here to everybody. Ron Brown has the evening off as he was moving back from his not rental, but the place where he stayed while they were rehabbing his house. So he's maybe join the chat here in a little bit, but we're gonna be joined by Lauren. He'll be with us tonight. I hope everyone's doing great. Got a good night's sleep. We sure did. Lauren is here. We're gonna welcome him in. Lauren, welcome. How are you this evening?
Still tired.
Still tired. Well, that's kind of like par for course. I think we're all. I was telling Marcus I went to bed about 1 o'clock last night, so it was like like amped up, like big time. So, well, Marcus, how are you this evening?
Good. Sorry about that little delay there, but
no.
Yeah. So yeah, just like what you guys are talking about. What a night last night, and my friend Ryan Duvall described us all in the chat as just like a bunch of young, excited young teenagers, and that's kind of how I felt when that drone came out. So that was a lot of fun. And then today, actually, I got to go out and fly a little drone. I did and Lauren, don't laugh. I did a comparison test. Between the eSheen EX4 and the Mavic Mini. And you guys are just going to have to guess about which one came out on top.
Oh, I'm having a real hard time.
I'm not even going to guess on that.
I'm having a real hard time, Marcus. That's a video that's gonna bust the charts on YouTube. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Lauren, how are you this evening?
Not too bad. It was kind of a busy, hectic day, and happy to say I handed in my resignation for a place that I was putting in time. It was kind of nice because I told them that I was just going to consult there for the winter, and guess what? Winter's over. And they said, well, sure, we can't talk you into staying. And I said, well, only if you can convince Mother Nature not to have spring, because when it's summertime, I need to be out flying and taking pictures. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, we had one of the most significant events that has happened to us in the last 2 months at the Heroes household today. Guess what that was? We got a case, and I mean a case. My wife ordered a case of toilet paper from Office Depot, and it came today. Okay, so this is like one of those bells and whistles and all that kind of stuff. And I told her, I said, when we get halfway done with that, let's order another one so we're not caught like this again. So we're going to be good for a while. So if any of you guys need some toilet paper, I'll hook it up to my drone and I'll fly it to you. How's that?
You have pretty good range if you're getting it to me.
Yeah, I will. Oh yeah. Well, maybe that Mavic Air too. I mean, we're supposed to, it's supposed to have some good range. So, and that battery life is good. So who knows? You never know. So, but I want to welcome everybody in the chat tonight. It was crazy last night in both shows, so we really didn't have a chance to do any of that. Stephen Ewing is here. Ted Bowman's here. Let's see who else. Greg Pittman. DumbTube, thanks for joining tonight. Scott's RC World. DeMarco is here. DeMarco, you're still alive. That's a good sign, okay? That's a very, very good sign. Hopefully the couch was comfortable last night. That's all I'll say about that. But got a lot to cover tonight. We're going to spend a majority of our time on the Mavic Air 2. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on right away, and I know Lauren verified it for us last night, but I got verification from DJI regarding AirSense. So I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the screen so you guys can go ahead and see it. Now there's a link in the comments for this, or in the description for this, so you guys can see it here. Now, this is from DJI Newsroom News. Get ready to up your creative game with the new DJI Mavic Air 2. you guys can go ahead and read this at your leisure, but I want to go ahead and highlight this down here. This is in accordance with DJI's industry-leading 10-point evaluating safety vision published last year. Mavic Air 2 is also DJI's first consumer drone designed to include AirSense technology, which provides enhanced safety by warning drone pilots of other aircraft nearby. AirSense uses aviation technology known as ADS-B to receive signals from nearby airplanes and helicopters and displays their location on the drone pilot's control screen. As these other aircraft approach the drone, AirSense will warn the drone pilot with messages, sounds, and vibrations, enhancing the pilot's awareness and ability to move the drone safely away. So this is 120% confirmed. There's absolutely no doubt about it. It's on there. I'm very happy that DJI pinged me back because I wanted to be able to share this with everybody. So number one, that's some good news right there. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Absolutely. DJI didn't really play that up in their presentation at all, because there's all the controversy about what's going on with some of the bills happening in the U.S. about, shall we say, monitoring the drones. And there's a lot of people don't like what's being proposed, and I can't say I blame them, but there's a lot of people that don't understand that this is ADS-B in and not out. So it's not going to be broadcasting your location, but I think it was a better idea that they didn't mention it too much, because they've already said, you know, in the late fall, early winter of last year, that all drones over 250 for North American market would have ADS-B. So, you know, it's not a big surprise.
Well, no, and you know what? It's you brought up a good point. I know Marcus brought it up last night as well, too. You know, a lot of people, you know, need to know about this, okay? Because planes have both transmit and receive capabilities. You know, all aircraft, whether you're a Cessna or a Piper Cub to a Boeing 737, have to have transmit and receive ADS-B. This is only this is only a receiver, folks. Okay, we don't transmit our location anywhere. So, but you know, I like it for the simple fact, you know, as I explained on both shows last night. You know, I live over a pattern where a lot of times the Air Force chooses to go to the Air Force Base, and I love to know when planes are in my vicinity. I mean, it's really a good thing. So, I mean, I can't say enough about that. But Lauren's right, because a lot of people, you know, are up in arms about, you know, the remote ID proposal from the FAA. So what do you think, Marcus?
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this a little bit last night, and I'm in total agreement with you, Bill. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I related the story about flying right next door to me the other day, and a helicopter came right over the top of me, literally right over the top of me, while I had a drone in the air. Now, I heard him from way off, and I dropped down, to about 50 feet off the ground, so I was plenty low. But with ADS-B, I'll know about that guy before I can even hear him, and likely there's no chance you're going to be in that situation. Absolutely,
yeah. I mean, that's, you know, it really kind of lends itself to, you know, just total safety. I mean, that's exactly what that is. I mean, you know, no more, you know, cranking your neck around, looking here. I mean, you know what? You hear a plane, you know, and sometimes your ears kind of can deceive you sometimes, and sounds and everything. And I mean, it's, you know, and even visually. I mean, even if your vision is great, I mean, it can deceive you at times. So this is good. This is a good thing. And
not only that, but if you once you actually get a chance to use it, you'll wonder why we never had it before. I can tell you, because I've used that on a lot of our commercial drones and stuff like that, and like the enterprise drones have had that for quite a while now, and I can sure say that I absolutely love it. If you've seen a lot of my videos and stuff like that, I like to get into canyons and things like that, and you get into some of those places where you really can't hear an aircraft coming until they're really right on top of you. But when I can see that coming for miles away, it really helps out. And again, like I say, once you get a chance to use it, you're gonna love it.
Yeah. It's like you didn't know you missed it until you had it. I mean, that's really in essence is what that is. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about tonight, and
hold on, Bill, 1 sec.
Oh, go ahead.
Just 1 sec.
Go ahead. Go for
Originally, I wasn't planning on being on tonight, but Bill said Ron's not going to be on, so I figured I needed to make out the threesome. But that being said, I'm drinking beer tonight, so
go for it. Okay. This is an adult show. This is not a children's show. So
sure.
Jason, there
you go, Marcus.
Lauren, if you can drag that Matrice, put that up in the air and maybe, send one to Marcus's way and then one to my way, that would just be fantastic. Maybe we can work on that. All right. Have like a capability of recharging those batteries in flight. So
there you go.
But no, I'm glad. We're very thankful that Lauren's able to join us tonight and he's able to pontificate freely because the Mavic Air 2 is out. One of the other things that I noticed today, and Lauren could probably speak to this too, is I went out there and I looked at the accessories that are available on the website, on DJI's website. Everything is showing is available, but what it looks to me, and maybe Lauren can confirm this, is it looks like everything that's out there is in the Flymore kit. Am I right, Lauren?
Yes and no. There is some stuff that will be coming out, and a lot of the standalone accessories, if you want to buy those, it's actually a pre-order, and those won't be. You can order them, pay for them now, but don't expect shipping until right near the end of May.
Okay. What about shipping as far as I know? Because they said when you place the order, it was 10 to 15 business days after your payment is approved.
That sounds about right, because basically May 15th is when like retailers aren't supposed to sell anything until May 15th, and normally they coincide DJI deliveries with when retailers are allowed to sell. So yeah, that sounds about right.
Hey, so just as a point of interest here, I just went to the website just to see what they're saying about estimated ship date. And so it's consistent with what we saw yesterday. It says estimated to ship 7 to 10 business days after payment confirmation. So that hasn't changed. And the reason that I bring that up is because when the Mavic Mini was out there, hey, if you didn't get in there early, your ship date got pushed quite a ways out. So the people that ordered early got theirs much quicker than some of them later. But this still appears to be consistent with what we saw yesterday.
Okay, now Drone Master says here, this is interesting. DJI is said to be making a mount for tablets and iPads, I heard. So it's going to be an interesting design because it's not, that you can get like the Mav mounts and it would fit in the Spark, the Mavic Air, original Mavic Air, the Mavic Pro series, the Mavic 2 series. That mount would fit in there, and like all those ones, aftermarket ones that were on Amazon, they'll all fit in there. But that's something you got to completely throw that out because it's on top now, and it's that clasp system. So that's going to be real interesting to see how they do something like that.
So Bill, I'm thinking about that. So if you had one of those old mounts, that clasp would still clamp it.
Right.
I think the disadvantage would be you're really going to be top heavy then.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. Lauren, I was wondering if you could speak to this. Do you know how strong that? I know, when you pull that up, I mean, is that like a plastic or is that a metal or what? That's in the controller.
It's a combination of both.
Okay.
The rods that come up are metal, and then your piece across the top is plastic encased.
Okay.
The piece that goes across the top and those rods that come up are actually part of the antenna system. don't know if you're aware of that or not, but
yeah, I did. I was aware of that, but no, good.
That's part of the antenna system. And on that note, a couple of things. There was a firmware release today. I don't know if anybody noticed that, but there was a firmware release. And I know the question is going to come up sometime tonight, so I'm going to head it off early. Is with should be the next firmware update. It will be compatible with the smart controller.
Okay, that was a question. I know you glad you headed that off, because that was one of the ones that I had, because we read that last night out there in the notes when we were going through things during the show last night. So I mean, that was wow. I mean, that's incredible. I know for a lot of people, I know for me, I'm the only one here tonight that really is a smart controller aficionado. Maybe we can get Marcus to hit the buy button for that smart controller, because and we've been trying. Ron and I have been trying like crazy to bring him over, Lauren. I don't know if we'll be able to do that or not.
Hey, you just made me think of something, Bill.
What's that?
I know of a Canadian drone store, and with the advantage of the dollar exchange right now, that might be the place to buy one.
Well, there you go.
Another thing, we were kind of looking at that today, is the things, if you're going to order, absolutely definitely order the Flymore, because we went through and we costed out, Canadian dollars, costed it out. If you were to buy everything separately in that Flymore kit, it would actually cost you $400 more than the Flymore kit. If you were to price it all out. So, like the batteries are what? I think it's about $161 Canadian.
Yeah, they were 110 US for batteries. Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, just put the price of those batteries, never mind anything else that comes with it. And then you start adding in the filters. It's definitely absolutely worth the buying the Flymore.
Well, and I probably didn't say this last night, but it was very astute of DJI to keep that, I know, for US under $1,000 US. I mean, I think that makes a big difference.
One of the other groups I was involved with, or am involved with, it was funny because a lot of people were saying, no, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it. And, well, two things. I had to tease them a little bit, and I said, well, I'm going to get one because I get it for free. So that stirred up a hornet's nest. But the other one was that, it's not as good as a Mavic 2 Pro. And I had to explain to him it's not meant to be as good as a Mavic 2 Pro. It's kind of your intermediate. If you buy a car, doesn't matter which brand you buy, you can buy different levels in each different brand. And this is the same thing. If you don't have the dollars to go up to a Mavic 2 Pro, but the Mavic Mini just ain't good enough for you, then this is kind of the in-between one for you to consider, So
yeah, I mean, it really fits that progression. Now, I got to say this. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I saw this picture today, and it was absolutely, it cracked me up. It was a picture of a Mavic Mini standing up, and on the screen was just the beginning part of the video. It says, "Someday when I grow up," was the caption on it. Okay, because it looked like the Mavic Mini looked like a baby Mavic Mini. Let me pull that picture up. I don't know if you guys saw that or not.
I actually seen that one, Bill. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna pull that up here, because I
pretty cute.
Let me get to the group here.
Yeah, so it just is that I think they pulled that off really well. They built up a lot of excitement over that introduction, and boy, that was fun being on ZinoNation or Mavic Air 2 Nation last night with Bill and DeMarco and Ron. It was that was an exciting event.
Well, that was a lot. You know, I'm so glad that we did that last night, and you know, it was great because both my pre-show did well, and then when we went over to ZinoNation, it did extremely well last night. So you know, I think that lead in our efforts in building that up, I think really helped get a lot of people to watch, and that was great. I mean, well, I think we had like over 180, 190 people at a time watching, which was insane. I mean, that I've never seen numbers like that on live streams before. But here's that picture. I just absolutely think it's a hoot. Absolutely love this. You know, one of the other things that I wanted to go over tonight was, you know, it's really interesting who DJI decided to give drones to ahead of time to do reviews this time, because you know, I was expecting to see getting a notification from Ready Set Drone from Kelly. I was expecting to see something from Rick Smith from Drone Valley, and didn't see those. I mean, you know, that was really kind of curious, because more often than not, you know, especially Kelly gets them, and that kind of, you know, it's kind of a head scratcher. You know.
There was a lot of guys that I was expecting to see videos from, but there was absolutely nothing. You know, and it kind of made me wonder, because especially after the little trick DJI pulled today, which didn't impress me at all. Haya posted something in my group, and DJI had requested him to take it down because he wasn't allowed to put that up until May 1st, because the YouTubers had first kick at the cat, which I thought was kind of like, wow, you know. And then so that being said, some of those YouTubers that we were expecting, like Billy Kyle, for example, you'd almost think that he should have one, but he didn't have it, and he rightly admitted to it, although I'm not sure there was a lot of the YouTubers that put out their thing right after or shortly after the release. They put out their 2 bits, but I thought, why are you even bothering if you don't have the drone? You know, you're commenting on a drone that you don't even have. So why are you doing it? Just to make yourself relevant? You know?
Yeah,
that's probably true.
Yeah, it is. Well, you know, the ones that I saw, iJustine was out there, iPhone Do, Aldrin from Flight Path has one out there. But I didn't see, you know, some of the other ones. You know, I haven't even, you know, I haven't been following Casey Neistat. I assume he probably got one, but I haven't gone on to his channel. But I mean, the names that you think of, and I was also thinking of Dustin Dunhill, who I'm good friends with. I didn't see anything pop up from him because I subscribed to his channel. So, you know, it was really kind of curious how they went about it this time, because you know, one of the things that I've heard lately, and I don't know if you guys have heard anything about this either, is they were favoring people who had a heavy leaning towards DJI in their YouTube channel. Have you guys heard anything about that?
Well, you know what, Bill? I thought when we were talking about that yesterday, I was thinking about that. But think about Aldrin. He just did a bunch of videos on the Autel Evo 2.
On the Evo 2, yeah.
So that kind of threw me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, it just, you know, I'm still kind of scratching my head over that one, because, you know, you expect to see, you know, in, you know, the business. Okay, for example, all right, I'll bring up our good friend Rick Smith. All right, who doesn't like Rick? Okay, you've got problems if you don't like Rick. All right, well,
hey,
you know,
he does run on.
yeah, Rick does run on. That is true, Lauren. We will say that, because whenever I have him on the show, they have a tendency to go a little longer than an hour. But one of the things that I have to say is, you know, his enthusiasm level is like a 13-year-old. Okay, it's through the roof. All right, and it's no matter what product he gets, which makes him, and plus having an electrical engineering background, you know, being an electrical engineer, you know, I would think that, you know, companies like DJI would, you know, really want to go after him. Well, I know that Autel has been sent him the Evo 2 8K and the Evo Pro, so Evo 2 Pro. So, you know, so he's been doing that. So I don't know if there's this push-pull kind of thing there. And with Kelly, I mean, that's a real head scratcher, because, you know, besides, you know, I know he's very much into, you know, FPV and racing drones right now, but he's still, you know, very much a DJI guy. And It's really, I'm still kind of scratching my head on this one because, I'm waiting for these things to pop up and I'm not seeing them today. And I'm like, what's going on here?
I haven't seen iJustines yet, but I will say this: both Aldrin and iPhone do. I just thought they were really good reviews. They were very thorough. We got a really good overview of that drone out of those two. So I have to applaud their choice of using those two guys. Like I said, I haven't seen iJustines yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't seen iJustines. I've seen one of Aldrin's, and yeah, I agree. Aldrin did a good job on that. I mean, it's like, but the quantity, I would also, it's like, to me, it's like this, okay? When there's a lot of them out there, okay, I like to watch all of them and kind of digest it and come up with an average opinion of what something is like, and here it's, pretty slim pickings as far as that's concerned. So I don't know. That's just me kind of pontificating here a little bit. So, one of the other things that I'm really excited about, and I know DeMarco was real excited about it last night too, is the battery life on this. And I know we've had discussions with Rick Smith about it. And, Rick has talked to us, Lauren, about, they can only do so much with that physical space inside that constraints of that battery. Okay. There's only so many, plates that they can put in there. And, they're just really limited. So to get extra time and figure this, okay, that battery is physically smaller than a Mavic 2 battery, but they're getting extra time out of it. That's insane.
Well, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. As mentioned many, many months ago, and I won't mention who said anything, but a lot of that has to do with the new motors, new ESCs, and new props. A lot more energy efficient. And none of that, but I don't know if you watch Aldrin's video on the noise level as well, right?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
That's a great video. It really tells a good story.
Yeah, and part of it is it's physically it's quieter, but the sound isn't as obtrusive either. So, it gives it a bigger impression of being even quieter than what it actually is, because most people are not as bothered by a low frequency. It's a high frequency that really bothers people's ears. So they've kind of continued that in the various other drones in the ever since they come out with the low noise props. That's basically a lot of it is changing the frequency.
Well, someone just put in the chat, and this also makes sense too, is it's obviously lighter than the Mavic 2. So, that would obviously be a win in terms of, flight time as far as that's concerned.
Well, when you compare it to the old one, the old Mavic Air, you're 50% more battery capacity than the old one. And like I say, the 15 minutes of real world flight time on the Mavic Air wasn't really too tough to beat. It was a great drone for its time. It was kind of a first time thing for a lot of things. But really between the noise and the range and the flight time, that didn't bode well for the drone. Other than that, it was actually a very, very nice drone.
Yeah, and I agree. The big thing for me was, a lot of people, and Marcus and I, because we both had one. I had one for a couple of weeks to test out. And the big thing for me was, everybody was complaining about loss of signal and having issues with that. And I never had that. For me, it was definitely that high pitched whine from the Mavic. I mean, that was just, I know my friend Ian Jones from over in Southeast England. I mean, that's the entire reason he sold his. He loved the portability and the form factor and everything and the video from it, but he said it was just he couldn't fly it because of the noise.
Hey, so do you guys remember the first time you saw that original Mavic Air? Remember how we all marveled at the small size of the thing, and then we saw the Mavic Mini.
Yeah, and Well, and what's interesting here, and I want to, kind of sandwich this talk in between here. All right. What DJI has been doing kind of like behind the scenes to set things up for the Mavic Air 2. All right. The update to the Mavic Mini itself with the firmware to enable, those camera features. All right. There was, that was like a dual purpose. Okay. Because, those of us who know the Mavic Mini, it's like a godsend, especially if you want to get in there and adjust your settings. That's incredible, an incredible capability to be able to have that right now. And the other thing, the other elephant in the room is the smart controller update to allow the Phantom 4 Pro V2.0 to work on there too. That actually played a purpose in it, okay? Because, I had emailed DJI support ad nauseum about that. I got every time I got answers back. Thank you for your inquiry, Bill. We have no plans at this time to update the smart controller. Please, watch Twitter for any updates. That was a constant message I got from them. And then lo and behold, boom, I had a subscriber sent me an email. He showed me screenshots. He said, "Look what I found, Bill." And he went out there and I was like, holy crap. And I downloaded it, first try, boom, set it up on my desk, and I put a video out about it because, and I wasn't expecting to get a lot of views on it, but I just wanted to let people know about it. This is kind of, this kind of revs people up a little bit kind of a thing. And then now we get the confirmation, okay, well, we knew that the Mavic Air 2 was going to use the Fly app, okay? And then now we also get the confirmation that it's going to work with the smart controller. It's like, wow.
Bill, I got a question for you.
Yes.
When do you think we will see the second version, smart controller version 2?
I'm the wrong person to ask that question. I think Lauren's gonna leave right now.
That's why I asked you, Bill. That's why I didn't ask Lauren. I was asking you, but I was watching Lauren.
Here's what I think. Okay, and Lauren may smile, he may not, but I think we'll see it at the time of the Mavic 3. That's just that's my personal 2 cents worth. Okay. I think we'll see it at the time of the Mavic 3. And I'm going to throw in a real kicker on this one here. This is just a wild prediction here, folks, okay? And look, I know Lauren's drinking an adult beverage. I'm drinking water, okay? All right, here's my prediction, all right? That's going to be, and Marcus has his Diet Coke, okay?
What's in with the Coke, Marcus?
Yeah.
My prediction is you're going to have a smart controller be your standard controller for the Mavic 3. That's going to be my prediction. That's just off the top of my head right now. Okay. I'm just going to go out there and say that because, you can see, that progression, is leaning towards getting everything. Imagine this. Okay. And think about this, that all of DJI's consumer drone, we'll say consumer drones. Okay. One controller works all of them. All right. Imagine that. All right. And imagine, once you have that controller and you buy another drone, you can order the option without the controller because it works with it. Am I wrong here, guys?
You're not wrong. While we're on the subject of controllers, Bill, one of the things that I'm excited about that new Mavic Air controller is anytime I use the current DJI controllers, I got to take the cover off of my phone. Now you're not going to worry about that. You're just going to clamp it in the top, and you'll be good to go.
Well, I'm getting a lot of it. DeMarco agrees with me, and Mike Roach said, bigger screen, and I agree on the bigger screen. Okay, I think the screen could be a little bit bigger as far as being able to see things. But I got to tell you this, okay, Marcus, it excels when it's in the sun. And I can tell you in Florida, it is very bright down here. Afternoon in my backyard, because my backyard faces west, that sun is just beaming down here. And it really just stands out. It's just so good. And crystal clear. You don't have to have no hood, no nothing. It works great. It really does.
So that's what I'm wondering. Ted Bowman is bringing up in the chat. He's got low vision, and so he always has to use an iPad when he flies, so he gets a bigger screen. I'm just wondering about the brighter screen, Dr. Bowman. Would that brighter screen, would that help? Because just like Bill was describing, it is way brighter than like your iPad, or way brighter.
And Larry Boggs just put in there, it's better than my newest phone, and he's right. My Note 10, it's getting to be, it's starting to get old, quote unquote. I haven't had it a year, but it was pretty high in terms of the number of nits. But the number of nits that are on the smart controller, and I don't know the exact number, it's just off the charts. It really is. And one of the things that I really like about the smart controller is to go ahead and do a screen recording. It's not that hard, like on an iPhone or even Android. I know my Note 10 has it built in, but I'll tell you what, all you got to do with that smart controller, flip it down, hit start record, boom, and your tally, it's running down there, it's down there, and it's not up in the corner and blocking important information out. And then the nice thing is you can save it to your SD card and just put it on your computer. And that's the first thing that I do after a flight with a smart controller is I get that out on my computer. I mean, what's real nice is it records audio too. So it records everything you say. And the mic on there is pretty decent. Now, you got to have it up here, okay? You got to have it at a level like this. You can't be doing this and expect it to sound good. But if you have it up here like this, you're going to hear it pretty good. So I'm digressing a little bit. We're kind of like talking on.
Now, let's talk about the issues with the smart controller.
Go for it.
Okay. It's all well and fine if you're going to do just run-of-the-mill generic stuff, but what about third-party apps?
That's a very good issue, Lauren. And also,
that's one of the reasons why myself, I don't own a smart controller, and I can't see myself ever owning one, at least not in the immediate future as it stands now. I use the nice big, large Crystal Sky, and because it's got these things here. So with age, I like having that bigger screen, but again, even with that Crystal Sky, I'm limited on the apps that I can use with that. So when I've kind of done a little backdoor in mine, so I can add some apps in there, but there's some apps that I want to use that frankly I have to go back to using my iPad just to use those apps. So
I know the other thing too, and you probably know this, it's a process to be able to update the DJI Go 4 app on there, okay? Because there's no way to natively, there's no push to it, and you have to go through a process. And our good friend David from Kluge Tech put out a great video on that. If anybody wants to know how to do that, go out to Kluge Tech Time. David put a great video together on, and that's a real pain in the butt whenever you have to do that. Okay, that I do agree about the third-party apps, Lauren. I really, that is a real pain in the butt. And if you're used to using other apps than what's on the controller natively, then that's a problem. All right, and also updating the Go 4 app, and now the obviously the Fly app will be on there too. So I'm hoping that DJI maybe gets the hint that when they come out with Smart Controller 2.0, that they address some of these things, because I know it's been a real pain point for a lot of people. Like if you go out to the forums and what Lauren was just pontificating about and what I've been pontificating about, you'll see it ad nauseum out there, that people just, they want to have the ability to download third-party apps. They want to have the ability to update the DJI Go 4 app on the fly without any issues, and it's a process. I mean, you got to set aside some time to do it. Go ahead, Marcus.
I don't. If Lauren knows, he can't say, and Bill, you probably don't know, but I'm wondering about the future for the Crystal Sky monitor. And I can tell you, I had one for a while, and this has been, I don't know, probably almost a year ago. And one of the issues that I had with it even then was that the CPU was not quite up to speed on it. It was starting to slow down, and it even started having problems consistently running the Go4 app well.
Actually, not anymore. They did a firmware up. I'm going to assume you got rid of yours over a year ago.
I did, yes.
Yeah, because about a year ago they did a firmware update, and part of that is it unloaded a lot of resources that weren't needed. One, and two, it dealt with the overheating issue that they had with the Super Bright. There was, like, basically in Bill's country, those things would get almost to the point of meltdown. So what they did was in the firmware update, they unloaded a whole bunch of extra overhead garbage that made things run cooler and much faster. So,
well, that's good. But like I said, I'm wondering, is it something that they'll update in the future, or is the Crystal Sky just passive technology? Although I would think in some of their industrial drones, the Crystal Sky might still be something.
Oh, absolutely. And no, that, but like I find that the lag time when I'm using an iPad Mini 5, so like newest, latest, greatest, but the lag time between my Crystal Sky and my my iPad, my Crystal Sky has got almost negligible lag time, whereas there's probably 2 or 3 tenths of a second with the iPad Mini.
Right.
Maybe not quite that much, but it seems almost instantaneous with my Crystal Sky. And that's part of the reason I love it, because like I say, I do a lot of close-in flying. So
it's a bright screen, especially what do they call it, the ultra bright with 2,000 nits. Oh, holy cow. That thing's like daylight.
Yep. One thing I wanted to bring up, because it was back in the questions quite a while ago, but I didn't get a chance to address it. Somebody was asking about precision landing. One thing a lot of people don't realize, and I've said it time and time again for those that have listened to me, but you really need to know how to do a precision takeoff in order for precision landing to work. And because I see it time and time again. I teach a lot of people how fly and get their first flights under their belt and stuff like that. And it's, as soon as the drone gets in the air, it's like zoom, away you go. The proper way you're going to take off is, if you're going to use the auto takeoff, then use your auto takeoff, but let it sit there and hover for a second. You've got a status light that's on the back of that drone. Mm-hmm. Wait until you get your flashing green, okay? Because quite often when you take off, it will be flashing multiple different colors. So wait until you get your flashing green, and then, go up until you're about 10 or 15 feet in the air, and then move off from your takeoff point. And that will give you your best results for your precision landing. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
No, that's a good point, because I know a lot of people. I had gotten some questions about that too. How's it going to be there? And I said, well, I said if you do it right, Lauren, I did a video on that, okay, and I did a test doing it, just taking it off manually, just heading straight up and not letting it stop, and doing return, let it try to land by itself, and then doing exactly what you said, and the difference was night and day. Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, it's that simple. Go ahead, Marcus.
Well, because I was messing around with it today, I am amazed at how close the Mavic Mini, even though it does not have precision landing, it gets consistently within 2 or 3 feet, and sometimes right on its takeoff spot without any kind of precision landing. That's how accurate DJI's.
Marcus, try doing that method that I just described, because mine lands on the pad every time.
With the Mini,
yep.
even without the precision landing feature.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Try that method. Like say, even if you use your auto takeoff, or even if you do the manual takeoff, right? Get it up about 4 or 5 feet in the air, Wait until you get your green status lights flashing, because that means it's got its precision GPS lock, right? And it's all stabilized. And then go up until you're 10 or 15 feet in the air and then move off. And I think you'll see a drastic increase on precision landing.
Well, what I do know is my Mavic 2 Zoom, it'll hit it right on the dime every time. I mean, it just it'll just come down in the exact same spot. And I'm used to that technique that you talk about, Lauren. I always let that thing get up, let it get a good look at where it took off from, and as you say, then you move off, and boy, is that thing accurate.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, and it's like, you know, it's not rocket science here. It's really kind of easy to do these things. I mean, you know, Marcus, you know, it's like, you know, and I've tested it over and over and over again with that. And, you know, I know colors for maybe some other drones might make a difference as far as a precision landing is concerned, because I've watched you try with the Zino 2 and with the Fimi X8 and, you know, your trials and tribulations with both of those drones. But then, you know, with almost all DJI products, I mean, you know, it's like it's almost always, if you do it right, like Lauren says, you're pretty much going to be on that center spot almost all the time. I mean, you know, unless it's the really windy day or something's really askew with the weather, you should be on that spot. You really should.
Yeah.
I mean, no holds barred with something like that. You know, one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, you know, we touched on a little bit last night was OcuSync 2.0. You know, and that's something, you know, that was one of the, I would say, and Marcus, I think you'd probably agree with me, that was probably the number one thing that people wanted to see on this drone was OcuSync 2.0, right?
No, there's no question about it. You heard that over and over again.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, I am just, it's an incredible home run, because if you remember when we had Rick on, and I think it was probably about a year ago, probably about maybe May last year, we talked to him about this, and he said the reason that they don't have them on the smaller drones was at the time, the physical layout of the drone, it wasn't big enough to handle it. Well, problem solved here this time with this, okay? And, you know, having OcuSync on there, you know, and I have to tell you this, people, you know, if you haven't had a Mavic 2, okay, or a Phantom 4 Pro V2.0, and you haven't had OcuSync, you know, you're in for a real treat with this, okay? I can tell you that right now, because your reception is going to be crystal clear. I mean, you know, if ever I do a live stream, okay, I have zero problems with live streams. You know, I'm 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 feet away. No problems at all because of OcuSync 2.0. And the communication there is just absolutely stellar. So you're in for a real treat with it if you haven't had it before. I mean, it really, it's worth the upgrade all by itself, in my opinion, okay? Because that's a significant improvement over what we had with the original Mavic Air. Am I right, guys?
100%.
That and the battery.
Yes. The battery life. That battery on the original Mavic Air, 15 minutes. I mean, you know, you were like wringing a rag dry to get 15 minutes out of that battery, you know, and it's like, and we've all said it before, you know, it's like, and Lauren too, you know, you're up, you're getting great pictures, you're getting some great video, and then you look and then you see it's beeping and it's telling you it's low battery, return to home kind of thing, and you're ready to cuss up a storm right there because, you know, you're in the middle of getting some great shots and you got to come back. That's just a real kicker. And this time around, you know, 34 minutes, which probably will translate maybe to 29, but still, I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at, guys. That really isn't.
Yeah, no question about it. I was laughing when you were talking about battery time because I remember the Spark, and holy cow, you'd just be getting into the flight, you know, and just, oh yeah, we need to get a picture of this, and then it would say, oh, time to return to home.
Return to home. I mean, that's a real kicker for this. Well, you know, and I got to say this. This is going to be, I think, this drone, you know, and I saw a lot of Ron's posts today. I chatted with him a little bit on Messenger, didn't actually talk to him, but you know, I get the sense from Ron and correct me guys if you're wrong. And Ron, I hope you're watching tonight. Ron is really, I haven't seen him this excited about a drone in a long time. Well, would you agree, Marcus?
Oh, he said as much last night. It was really funny. Yeah, I mean, of course, that applied to all four of us on that show. We were like the proverbial kid in a candy store. It was pretty funny.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys. If you want to look at some great pictures, look at Lauren's Facebook page. Look at this. Look at these kind of pictures that he gets. I mean, you know, he gets some incredible. Look at this.
Hey, what river is that, Lauren? I was wondering when I was looking at it.
That's the Highwood.
Got ya.
Yeah, that was the Highwood. I was doing some flying in there, and yeah.
And then that is beautiful. The back one, Bill, that bluff right there. Holy guacamole! That is dramatic.
Yeah, that's the type of things that I like to do. I mainly do landscape and wildlife. Like there's wildlife shot. That one's not a drone one, but yeah. So, but that's what I like to do, and I usually do a combination of both ground and drone shots, and that's like, it's like I say, the reason I got into drones is because of the photography I like to do. So, and as you can see from those valley shots, that's not something I can do with a regular camera, you know.
That's true.
Right.
When I've taught photography lessons, and it's like I talk about the drones, and I say that yeah, because it'd be a great shot if only I could stand in that raging river, and that's just a classic example of it, you know.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, you know, one of the other things, and I wanted to touch on before we close up shop tonight, is the camera. All right. Okay, I don't know about you, both of you guys, but I think DJI hit a home run with this camera this time around. Okay, looking at the specs, I did a deep dive and looking at those specs today. You know, I had, and this was one of the #1 questions that I had during the day today. People were asking me, Bill, is the camera on the Mavic 2 Pro better than the camera on the Mavic Air 2? That was probably my #1 question today. And you know, and I said, and I told him, I said, look at the specs, guys. That was my answer to everybody, because you know, when you look at those specs on that, and you know, obviously, you know, when you look at the promo films from DJI, you know, you see everything's been enhanced and everything. But that's why you need to get it in the hands of real reviewers. You know, obviously, you know, we haven't seen a lot of footage from iJustine and Aldrin and everybody, but I'm sure we will. But, you know, when you get to see some real footage out there and get to see, you know, like scenery, like Lauren shoots and things like that, that will tell you, that will give you your biggest clue as to how that camera really is. And for me, one of the things that I judge, one of the people ask me, how do I judge the quality of a camera? And I said, for me, okay, it's when you get it out of the box, you shoot it and you take a look at it. You don't add anything to it in post. And that to me tells me how that camera is, because you know, I can make those pictures. I can make pictures from from some of the lower end drones look fantastic. Okay, you know, when I get put my thing into DaVinci, I can make it sing like a bird. All right, but you know, when you're not doing that, when you take it raw off the drone and you just put it out there and you look at it, yeah, and you know who my greatest judge is Valerie. You know, I'll have her come in and I'll have her. I said, what do you think of this? And she's like, wow. Okay. And I said, you know, I didn't do anything. I just, this is exactly the way it was. And she's like, wow. And I think this is the kind of thing we're going to see with this camera, guys. I really do.
And just so you know, like I'm an old school photographer. I've been doing photography for 45 years, and I'm not one of these guys that likes to sit in front of a computer and dick around with a picture to make it look all pretty. You know, like I'm old school, and I say do it on the camera. And so, like doing those pictures, there's almost nothing done to those. Those are pretty much straight either out of the camera or out of the drone. And I really, really can't emphasize, like with drones, the importance of using your filters. Myself, every time my drone goes in the air, or any of my drones goes in the air, I have combination ND polarizer filter on it. And so that polarizer, if you're not familiar with it, that really brings out the blues and the greens, which for doing the landscapes and stuff that I like doing, it really helps make those colors punch for you and makes your colors come alive. So just a little tip for you.
I got a question for Lauren. So what I've never understood about I understand how a polarizer works on a ground camera, because you're right there and you can turn it. But on a drone, how do you get it adjusted? I mean, do you fly up, look, bring it back?
No, actually, if you, like, I use the Polar Pro ones, mainly because they're the best. Not cheap, but they're the best. But the Polar Pro circular polarizers, there's actually there's two marks on it. One that's on the frame of the filter, and then one that's on the filter itself. And that can tell you whether or not that is in sync or out of sync, right? The other way you can tell if you're not using the Polar Pros is you rotate that filter until your skies are the deepest blue. And that's where you want to use it. Now, the only caveat on that is that you've got to understand how light works, because that's what photography is all about. And depending on where the sun is from the direction you're shooting is how effective that polarizing filter is going to be.
That makes sense.
I mean, that's a good tip.
Because if you're going right into the sun, for example, it's going to have less effect. If you've got the sun at 90 degrees, it's going to have the most effect. So,
well, here's a question, and I know, both Marcus and I are probably in the same kind of realm. I know Ron is probably more bent towards, being a photographer at heart. I don't know how long Ron's been a photographer, but it's been a lot of years. He's been a photographer like you, Lauren. You can't underestimate the importance of being able to have a lot of these manual settings that we now, not only the Mini, but more importantly, it'll be on the Mavic Air 2. Am I right?
Well, if you're going to use filters, right? That's the only way to make a filter work is with controls.
Yeah. What do you think, Lauren?
Sorry, I missed the question. I'm answering questions in the chat.
No, that's fine. With the manual controls that they've added recently, like through the DJI Fly app for not only the Mini, but it'll end up being on the Air too. It's important to be able to adjust those right, especially when you're using filters. Am I right?
Yep. Absolutely. Like to me, it was a real game changer when they did that last update on the Mavic Mini, giving you full control. Like that's just makes things just so much better. On the ND filters, guys, because there's questions coming left, right, and center here. ND filters depends on whether you're doing photography or video. Like, use your ND filters to get down to your 180 rule for video. So basically, if you're not familiar with that 180 rule, is if you're shooting to get the best cinematic shots, if you're shooting 25 frames per second, right? If you're set at that, or I'm messing this up totally, but you want to have your frames per second at twice the speed of what you're shooting at for your video, right? So if your video is at 25 frames per second, then you want to shoot at 50 frames per second. And you have to speed that up or slow that down using your ND filters or lack of ND filters. Now, when it comes to photography, you use your ND filters to slow down to create different effects. For example, if you were shooting, say, something like a waterfall, and you want the water to just really flow over with no real crisp, hard water droplets and stuff like that, then you'd be using the real high, something like an ND 1000, right? And you're going to have about a 1 second exposure, right? So then that's, yeah, thanks, JC, 1/50th. That's what I meant. So anyway, that's where your ND filters come into effect on the photography end. Again, I always have my polarizer on.
Cliff Totten posted a question, and I don't know the answer to this. Does the Air 2 have a variable aperture?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
All right. Well, we're kind of wrapping up things here, and one of the things before I get to close, I want to thank everybody who joined the pre-show last night, and I want to thank everybody who went from the pre-show over to Mavic Air 2 Nation last night, as it was temporarily called, and joined us, because it was a great time on both shows. And I got to say this, and I think Marcus would agree with me. I know Ron would as well, and DeMarco. The chat, you guys were just as tonight. You guys were spot on in the chat. It was electric. It really kind of pumped us up a ton. So from me, on behalf of Ron, Lauren too, and Marcus, we really want to thank you last night for such a great time. You made it very enjoyable for us to do this. And then, when the next one comes, we're going to be doing it. We're going to kind of flip things around and have a pre-show on ZinoNation, and then we're going to do the live stream from here and have the party here. So, it was so much fun. I mean, it really was. It was just such a blast. And I can't thank you guys enough for that. Okay. Marcus, closing thoughts for tonight.
Well, everybody just stay safe. I'm hoping that we're on the downhill side of this whole virus mess that's going on, but continue social distancing. Be kind, as Bill likes to say. And then, get out and fly your drone a little bit. It's going to be 87 degrees here tomorrow in Idaho, so almost summer-like weather. And if I'm going to fly a drone tomorrow, I'll probably get up early to do that. But anyway, it's all good. Get out, fly your drone, and have fun. Lauren, have you got any closing thoughts for us tonight?
Just one thing, going back to the cameras. Anybody know what the best camera is?
The one you already own.
That's it.
No, the one that you have when you need it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Anytime you can take a shot when you need it, that's the important camera. So
the one you have with you.
The one you have with you. Absolutely. Yep. Well, I want to thank Lauren for coming in tonight and joining us, and I hope Ron's had a relaxing evening, because he's going from where he stayed while his house was being rehabbed back to his house, and it's kind of moving things back, and it's been probably hectic and chaotic for him. And wish you all the best, Ron, and hope you enjoyed watching the stream tonight. And hope everything's well. I want to echo what Marcus said. Okay, we're still going through this crap. Okay, and it won't. Let me put it this way. Okay, I found out somebody who graduated with me from high school is on a ventilator right now because of COVID-19. I had a text from one of my best friends in high school. She told me that today, and there were tears in my eyes. Okay, because this doesn't discriminate. This doesn't care how old, how young you are, whether you're rich or poor, nothing. It will hit you. So those of you who still feel a need to throw shade to people, wake up, because, this is real. This is life and death for people. And it's affecting a lot of people financially as well, too. It's really hitting in the pocketbooks. And if you can give to help organizations that help people, do so. If you can go out safely and help people, and if you're allowed to do that, do so. Continue to follow what your local governments and state governments and country tells you to do, because believe it or not, their safety and your health is their number one priority. Okay, that's pretty much any government around the world that's doing that. So I hope you guys just continue to stay safe. We're hearing it's not going to be much longer for a lot of us here in the United States, which is good news. Things are going on a downhill curve, which is good. They're working on solutions for treatments right now. Vaccine's still going to be a ways off, but I'm hearing lots of promising things as far as treatments are concerned. So, just hang in there, guys. We'll get there. We'll cross that. We'll cross that plateau someday. And it will be a great day to fly again. But until then, everybody, stay home and stay safe. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your evening. And oh yeah, here's another thing before I absolutely close this. Okay, these guys here, and especially Ron and Marcus, make sure you hit that like button for them, and Lauren too, on my show, because it's not a reflection of me. Okay, I'm just a third of this show. Okay, they're 2/3 of the show. So when you hit that like button, you're hitting it for both of them. So do that. Not only here, make sure you go back on ZinoNation if you didn't do that last night, and do that as well, because that's a huge thumbs up, and that helps us out tremendously. Guys, take care, and we will see you next time.